You're listening to Raiding the Fringe with Poda, Ostinius, Nehpets, and Dr. Lee. From ancient civilizations to the cutting edge of science, from exploring the outer reaches of space to the Atlantean depths, we discuss the topics of the unknown and the possibilities of the bizarre. Are you hungry to expand your horizons? Come get your fill as we raid the fringe.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Raiding the Fringe. I am Dr. Lee, and with me are my good friends, Ostinius.
Hello.
Poda.
What's up?
And Nehpets.
Good evening.
Today's subject, we're going to talk about aliens. All-encompassing extraterrestrial activity, life.
That was my best.
Are they out there? Probably. Do you think they're visiting us? A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. A lot of people really do. Are they here now? Were they here in the past?
Allegedly, they're still having intercourse with him today.
But still sore.
Probing.
Probing
Questions.
Probing questions. Is that a probe? Yes.
Look, if you had a question served to you in a way that you felt like you were probed, I'm sorry.
If you were probed in the way that you felt that it was just a question, then I also am sorry.
Overcharged.
All right, well, taking stock of it, who out of us actually believes in aliens?
Well, I believe in the, infinite probability that we're not alone in the universe. I do not believe in proof that they've come here.
You do not believe in extraterrestrials visiting Earth?
Correct.
Okay. What about you, Nep?
Okay. I believe that there are entities out there that we do consider to be aliens. But I do not believe that they are aliens. I believe that is just a hoax.
You prefer alternate dimensional beings?
Yes, interdimensional beings or fallen angels.
Well, that's
demons. I believe all instance of alien abduction or alien sightings is nothing more than just fallen angels or demons.
So as aliens, as we are talking about today, basically you're saying no, you don't believe in them.
No, not in the sense of like Anunnaki, reptilian, greys.
But you would believe one person would call that an extraterrestrial alien, but they're just mistaken.
Yes.
So aliens as we know it isn't really aliens.
Yeah, that is correct, sir. Right. I believe that.
What about you, Poda?
I believe I don't know. But I'm down for new knowledge and surprises. Mathematically speaking, given the size and understanding of the universe that we have thus far, what coin of alien are you speaking of in alien life? Do you mean the humanoid, like Star Wars, Star Trek? Or are you just bacterial?
Any of them.
You see, that's my thing. I really do believe that there are aliens out there that we wouldn't even consider alien necessarily. Like, from our understanding, it's all carbon-based life forms and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. I believe there could be a helium-based life form or something like that.
Silicon-based life form.
There could be, but something else.
There are theories on that.
Very, non-tangible
what
to your typical idea.
What would you mean by silicon? I don't, like silicon-based life form. Give an example of, I know nothing.
If I recall, there was a theory that if life could exist on Pluto, that they would be silicon-based because they would be more fit to survive the temperature shifts and the super freezing cold of Pluto. And I even saw a little artist rendition. It looked like a little sea urchin, kind of a round thing with spines on it. But instead of being carbon-based, their molecular structure, their chemical components are all based off of the silicon element instead of carbon.
I mean, if you're going to go with that aspect, then there could be element or, like carbon or other kind of base things that we don't even know about.
Elementals.
Because we haven't been able to search the vast of our own home ocean. So the vastness of space is, there could be elements on the periodic table or, that we don't know about.
Oh, that's for sure. There are definitely elements that we have no cognition of, like nobody even undiscovered or just way out of this world crazy.
But I mean, like the stories of, the old ones coming down, and old ones can be used as loose terms, Yes, Cthulhu.
The gods.
Cthulhu is one. We can go into a whole aspect of fiction writers who have become legend to where people actively believe the books they wrote are real, and stuff like that.
Like L. Ron Hubbard?
Yeah, that, or with Cthulhu and that whole series.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, or the Necronomicon itself, which was just a book that he collaborated with other scary novel writers, and now people out there will argue that it is a real book.
Well, now you're splitting it into other books.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. But it still all encompasses aliens because H.P. Lovecraft was really into that. But you could, like, the old ones, what I'm talking about, like, are the Anunnaki or the reptilians or the crazy ant people.
No, the reptilians, though, were those space aliens or were they in the Hollow Earth?
I would still believe that they were an alien. I don't believe anything that says I've been here forever.
Slee stacks.
Like
Trandoshans.
Yeah, Trandoshans.
From Star Wars, like Bosk, the bounty hunter. They're lizard aliens.
Or the, like POTUS saying, that lived in the Earth for all these years, like like in the time machine, the Morlocks or whatever. They just went on a different evolutionary path.
If I want to go reptilians, I like the theory that was proposed by the Super Mario movie.
Okay.
So you're the one.
There's a King Koopa.
The only one.
Believing fiction is real.
The mushrooms.
No, the Super Mario Brothers movie was a documentary filmed in real time.
In real time.
In real time.
In real time.
Yes. Like when you meet something that is like an alien, how much weight can you put into what they say to you? Like you meet a lizard thing and it's like, I've been here forever. And you're like, sure. Okay, cool. No, I believe that they land. Well, you know what I believe, but for someone speaking about aliens, yes, they would probably have came down and lived here, I guess.
Well, I mean, there are those military reports and stuff that parts got leaked and what have you, and that they have like a dossier labeling out and listing the types of aliens that we know about. And then it says stuff like, a positive species or a negative species.
Oh, yeah, the book, the blue book.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. They have, it's like over 80 different species of aliens that have supposedly visited Earth, yes. I believe it's Blue Book Project.
Yeah, but would you believe that to be a work of fiction? Or would you believe... do you believe that?
How are these entities, how are they interacting? Like, did they just random people, coming up and be like, yeah, I saw an alien and it licked my butthole. You know what I mean? Or are these people what did they have to do? Did they have to actively summon them? Did they had to make a phone call? We don't know the process in which they were communicating.
Well, with all the audio technology and stuff around the satellites and things like that, they're looking for transmissions and stuff. Who's to say they didn't find them? And that's how initial contact was made.
Well, on the other side of that, with technology being what it is, we're also in the technological forgery area where we can make anything look or sound any way we want to, whether it's real or not. So is it really proof anymore?
Okay, look, a lot of the aliens that you're talking about in the Project Blue Book, that was mainly around the time of World War I, World War II. A lot of those, and more were added, but that was the majority that was met upon. You have other alien species, like I mentioned earlier, like the Anunnaki, who were aliens but gods as well to the Sumerian people and all that aspect. And
I do believe in ancient aliens. I believe that, back in the day, recorded history, history is recorded by the victors and what have you. But in all walks of life around the world, people saw flying machines and flashing lights in the sky. Sure, it could have been some weird phenomenon that they didn't know what it was, and it could have just been ball lightning, like a weather anomaly or something, but multiple people all around the world describing super similar things, that sounds more likely than unlikely to me.
I believe that we got a certain amount of knowledge, preferably before the flood, before a great loss of knowledge. We were far more advanced than I believe even today, the technology wise. So flying things back then, or how everybody has a pyramid, or how every place has the exact same kind of design all over the world, in time periods that we've guessed at that they were built. I believe they were all built in the same time with the same knowledge.
Well, yeah, even some of that stuff, like they found some pyramids in South America, we'll say that.
Yeah.
And a lot of them they believed were so old, like this is maybe 3,000 years old because this is how old this part is. But then they find another part, this chamber, oh my gosh, this is like 13,000 years old, you know?
I mean, they've even found pyramids bigger than the pyramids of Giza.
Yeah.
You know, even in China, they have the same structure, same process. So if you were talking about aliens coming down and giving us information, I believe, yes, something came down and gave us information for us to have that technology. Now that they build this stuff for us, I don't believe that. But I believe they gave us the blueprint to do so.
I don't see that as proof of alien. I mean, we all speak a language. Even though our languages are different, if you bust it down to the terms of big triangles sitting in the sand, which is a pyramid, like all of our different languages, even if we had never seen each other, they have a language and we have a language. And eventually we can get to that point where we can translate them, but we both have decided that there is this vocal structure that gets ideas across between people. Aliens didn't come down and teach us to use a language. That was just the further development of...
Who's to say?
Well, no, but are you saying that architecture in that aspect is like a language, that we all share an aspect of language?
I'm saying there is a point...
So we all share the idea that certain structures would be there for right terms.
I'm saying there's a point where common sense will lead you into a certain direction. And for a lot of people, a pyramid makes sense because it's conical in shape. You drop a piece of sand down the same center, it will make a conical shape. And pyramids...
Or mountains or other structures of Earth take on the same shape as well.
We have a universal language right now, no matter what country you're in, and it is mathematics, because math is the same math no matter where you are. Even if you're calling a number 2 3 different names, it still equals out to be a 2. And then in developing structure and culture growing, mathematics growing, we all discover that there is the basic foundations of a mathematical formula.
So then do you agree that aliens
universal.
gave us that formula, or we came up with it on our own?
If it's a universal truth, we wouldn't have to be given to us with our
There would have to be some type of discovery, though. It's not like you're born innately with a universal truth.
Yeah, and for it all to be agreed upon that this is what it is, regardless of what you call it, that has to be governed by some central point to be passed on.
No, it doesn't.
Otherwise, people can draw their own conclusions.
Everyone did, and eventually, as we talked to each other, we're like, hey, I came to that same conclusion. Must be a fact.
Mm-hmm. There is some of that, yeah.
Anyways, another thing, we could talk about the different types of aliens. Like the biggest one that most people know about today that I feel like are the grays. The little worker guys.
Quote aliens.
Big eyes, little bodies.
I don't know. I like talking about the platinum angels, or that's what I call them when I couldn't remember the name, but the Anunnaki.
See, I'd never heard anyone say the word Anunnaki until you did.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's a fun one.
Oh, dude, it is a rabbit hole you can definitely go down into.
What are the Anunnaki?
What are the Anunnaki? What aren't the Anunnaki?
They're not in my kitchen.
I don't know. How about
they are not a special guest on this podcast.
Mr. Ostinius can lead us off with this. I believe he has some fun things to say about the Platinum Angels.
Fun things to say. I mean, I believe in them, and they helped lead people in religious thoughts and functions.
What people?
A lot of the Middle Eastern cultures share a lot of the same stuff. That's why in Indian culture, I forget what they call it, but in every structure at the tops of all their buildings, there's a circular thing with it looks like a house. It kind of looks like a house on a plate, and it is in almost every single structure. And you can find them all over, not just in India, but all over the Middle Eastern region. And they believed that the Anunnaki or the Platinum Angels had, for lack of a better word, flying cities. It was bigger than just a thing. And the chariots of the gods, some people would call it. But it was their like UFO kind of machine, and they flew around, and that was a big beholden thing to the populace. I guess that led people to worship them. I
guess if you want an actual definition of an Anunnaki, it is an interstellar being that came to Earth from a planet called Nibiru. Nibiru used to be a planet, and still technically is a planet in our system. it has an elliptical orbit that is far exceeding ours, and it comes around near the sun every like 3,500 years or so. Don't quote me on that, but it is like that. They are away from the sun so much, so they've invented technology that they need gold so that they can power their stuff by storing the sun's energy. So what they did was they came down, and this is what some people believe. They came down and interfered with the primates of this planet, and they made humans to basically mine gold for them. And every 3,000 years, they come back and take the gold we mined and let us live our lives. So in conclusion, that would possibly mean that we are slaves to them, gathering the gold so that they can energize their planet. It is also said that planet Nibiru would crash into us eventually.
Oh, that's cheerful.
Actually, I believe it did. They said it did. There's rumors it did crash into that Theia.
Well,
what are the other ones?
The argument is that it's actually in a phase shift and not 100% in our reality. And
I was waiting to get to the weird crap first. I'm not trying to be like, well, okay, but in all actuality, it's in a phase world where
ethereal.
When it comes and hits us, it's not going to cause a wide, it's not going to hit us and explode. It's going to cause a shift in our reality that changes everything, or so on and so forth. But there is scientific proof that there is a planet that is in our system that has a very long elliptical
planet or planetoid or dwarf planet.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to call the heavenly bodies, but
yeah, a planet, a giant rock. Bigger than an asteroid. You know what I mean?
Would it be considered a satellite of the sun? No.
It would if it orbits it.
Yeah, it has an elliptical orbit that it like really close to the sun for a while and then goes out into the middle of nowhere. But that's the Anunnaki story, and that's what That's what it's basically the Sumerian people's gods.
Do you know how far along that 3,500 year mark we are right now?
Apparently, it was supposed to happen in 2012. That's what they kept saying. The Mayan calendar.
To me, I think the Mayan calendar
is just a calendar.
Yeah, they're like, none of us are going to be living this long. I'm done.
I think it just...
Or that the disease wiped them out and they had no time to finish it after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you're doing a calendar...
I think it's like, good enough. Yeah. They got to stop sometime. Otherwise, they'd still be out there building it.
What if they did finish and that is one complete cycle?
Well,
it has multiple.
Well, then Fort Knox is missing some gold, buddy.
That is the truth.
It had cycles involved with it, but they figured that the end of the calendar was in 2012, not having to do with cycles, having to do with that's when they were done. That's when they stopped.
Okay.
And the argument is just you got to stop sometime. Whatever.
You have other aliens as well as what we mentioned before, like the reptilians who say they live on this planet as well, or the cave dwellers, or the people that run the Illuminati, and I say that with air quotes because.
Illuminati.
If you really know where the Illuminati came from, it's not that great of a
no. It's not. It's just a bunch of drunkards in a bar.
Yeah, a bunch of losers that are like, well, they won't let you in the club.
Whoa.
Let's make a club.
Rating the Fringe does not feel like all.
That could be its own podcast, actually. We could separate
secret societies.
Yeah,
cults. I want to talk about cults.
Cults, definitely.
Anyway.
Alien cults is what we're on now.
Yeah.
All right. What about the role of science fiction through aliens? Like, Star Wars, Star Trek, Babylon 5, a lot of those series. Do you think any of them touch on what could possibly be science fact? Technology aside, I'm just talking about in relation to alien races.
I would believe that, as much as I love Star Trek and Star Wars and everything, stuff like that, I would actually believe more in the Babylon 5, the Battlestar Galactica, the Star Trek kind of version of it, where there would be like a federation and, they would get along a lot. I mean, sure, you would have your warring factors for parts of the galaxy or whatever, but overall, most everybody would be governed.
But isn't that kind of like putting human nature on aliens themselves? What makes you think that they would act that way? We're just projecting our own lifestyle and, you know, things onto things that, you know, could or could not possibly exist. Why would they be warring? Because we war? You know, things like that.
I mean, the brands could work totally separately.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So you're biting at the bit. Go ahead.
I just always found it interesting in these romanticized versions of science fiction and humanoid aliens that the majority of copulation between species from vast parts of the universe was coalescent to the same darn genitals.
I'm not saying that. I still believe, I'm not saying that they're all humanoid walking around, you know, bipedal and stuff like that. I'm saying there could be crazy fucking fart aliens from Galaxy Quibula 9.
It's a flatula.
Yeah. I'm saying that there could be all of these other kinds, but if you're talking a race that is advanced enough to go out into space, you know, unless it's a singular, like, solo creature, you know, we're talking spaceships, people coming to this planet, they have to have some sort of society. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if they are societal, there are problems that come from society.
Okay, so do you think that there might be enough alien races out there to have a coalition that we're not a part of yet? But they're all out there. We're not invited to their cocktail party, and they're talking about us.
Another aspect of science fiction.
Yeah, to a point. To a point, I believe that. I am not one to think that we're so important that people are like, oh, look at these humans. Can't wait till they get to play. You know, you know, but it's one of those things of let's not, like, we can make contact with them periodically and things like that, but until they're ready for this, we're not going to force it on them or whatever.
And then you have aspects in history that has, you know, aliens have always been a subject to our curiosity. Like you have some of those paintings, like by Leonardo da Vinci and stuff like that have like a little flying saucer in the background out of nowhere.
But it wasn't just Leonardo da Vinci. There were many.
Well, no, that was just giving one example.
Yeah.
And I wasn't just saying this dude, because then it wouldn't matter. Right. It's just that one guy made these flying pans in the sky.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this crazy thing. It's called pen, pineapple, apple, pen.
So what I'm saying is that we've always been an aspect, you know, a culture or a people that always thought something came from above.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast, but I have a pen. I have an apple. Apple pen. I have a pen. I have pineapple. Pineapple pen. Apple pen. Pineapple pen. Pen, pineapple, apple pen. I've got them. I can do this.
I believe you.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast.
But again, like, you know, we have that idea that something came from above and gave us something. Always.
Well, let's look at, okay, so another thing that you were talking about, you know, around World War I, World War II, that's around the time of Roswell crashing. That's, you know, the 40s, you know what I mean? And then after that, you see this huge blow up in technology. Now we're getting microwaves. Now cars are getting better. Now phone technology is getting better. Televisions, all this stuff blows up after this supposedly fake or whatever interaction. And now we have Project Blue Book, where now all these other species are known and stuff like that.
A lot of that could be...
I believe I could explain the technological blow up a lot more simply, and that is just the evolution of transportation. Because with it, we are now allowed to travel to each other, and then communication, where we had learned how to be able to do that without actually traveling, so that way we could, you know, basically hive mind all of our intelligence. And so things have gotten faster because we've been able to take smart people from different areas of the world and bring them together.
Definitely take them.
Yeah, okay. But
what I'm saying is that also comes after the aspect of war. They called it the Roaring 20s for a reason. It's because we just got out of World War I and we were rolling in the dough. World War II came around, that pulled us out of a depression, but also gave us enough revenue to have those people create these things. Now, I do understand what you're saying by this technology exploded. but we had the money and the time to do it. And all the smartest people on the wrong side of the fence on our side.
Yeah, but you also look at the other things. Okay, people on the wrong side of the fence. I mean, but the Nazis still built...
Oh, no, man. Hitler totally talked to demons and ghosts and like summoned crazy witches.
Saucer. That is not fake. That is real.
Oh, yeah. And, he also made a time machine that we can't prove because it's gone.
Well, when I see Hitler in his 30s in a couple days, I'll tell you what he said.
It may be small scale, but technically, we have been aliens to our own moon. We have built spaceships and left the Earth's atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Now, we haven't traveled and found any extraterrestrial life at this point, unless you count water bears.
What are tardigrades?
Yeah, tardigrades, because they can survive the absence of pressure.
South Park for teaching us all about tardigrades.
I did not learn from South Park.
Yeah.
Oh, they teach you a lot.
I didn't learn it from South Park, but...
it's a good one.
I mean, that's proof that creatures, no matter how intelligent they may or may not be, could exist and travel through space. However, I think if, for instance, there was another civilization, even only 2,000 years more advanced than us, but within the same astronomical ballpark as far as timelines go, they would never see us and we would never see them, because the mere act of light traveling from us to them takes so many millions of years to reach, extra planets outside of our system that we can't even see that they exist. We're looking at their prehistoric area and they're looking at our prehistoric area. And so, it's like missed connections on Craigslist. It's like we didn't get to see each other. If it takes that long for even seeing that there is something to go to out there, then in order for travel and technology to be physically delivered from one place to another, this alien race would have to have the technology to exceed the speed of light, to break a lot of laws of physics that we believe to be true, a lot of our theories.
And that's why I like the theory that an advanced civilization of some alien race would never leave home. Because of the light, because of the travel, and because of the biological and dangers to themselves, which is the theory back to the gray aliens that I heard that I found interesting, that the gray aliens are drones, like what we would send to Mars, but way more advanced, to defeat the time barrier difference of time and data storage, so they could remain in a certain place for an extended amount of time and could carry on the mission and return back data.
But I think that's only to our own understanding. If they had that better understanding of even interdimensional properties, or we only see whatever so many dimensions, you know what I mean? Maybe they have the capabilities of doing something more. Maybe because they are not carbon-based, they are not held to the same limitations we are. Maybe they have the properties and capabilities of doing that. And another thing, maybe we're not talking about a star way off in the distance. Maybe we're talking about something very much closer, but we can't go there. We've never seen it. So we'd say, it can't possibly be in our solar system. That very well could happen.
Like the Black Knight satellite, we don't know why it's there. It's just there.
Well, I believe that to be a thermal blanket that was dropped by an astronaut, and if the sun hits it in a certain area, it's going to just look like a black, dark thing floating there.
It's a weather balloon.
There was an astronaut that said he dropped his solar blanket. Those were the pictures of the Black Knight satellite. It floated off into the shadow and is there, and it's like, oh my gosh, you see this? It's just a blanket. Because it's not blowing in the wind, it doesn't look like a regular blanket would act. It's just frozen in space. Just
bigger than that, though. Like it's a pretty huge thing.
Nobody's been close enough to it. All the pictures are from far, far away. And what if it's not really far away? It's just a small object.
Speaking of objects in space, I've always found it interesting when we see footage of space, not just still photos, but the actual video footage. It looks like I'm looking in pond water. There's so much stuff moving around and flashing and going different directions, like it is its own organism. I just find that interesting, but is that just because of the Earth's gravity and I'm just watching all the garbage?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of garbage.
I like how you turned that statement into a question. No, but again, you have also the testimony of all the astronauts that went up there. They were like, yeah, there's stuff up there. They're like, there are things we don't know what they are. We're supposed to be the only ones up here, and there are things there.
Yeah.
So, again.
No, I believe in that. I totally do. I've never been to space.
Back to tardigrades. Fascinating organism. Why can't they be at a huge giant scale somewhere out in the universe?
Are you talking about like giant whales of tardigrades in the sun?
Or squids.
Or swarms of them.
Leviathans.
Well, I mean, like, if it has enough energy from the sun and it consumes enough energy, why couldn't it get as big as a whale? You wouldn't be able to see it in the sun.
That's more of the type of extraterrestrial life that they're actually looking for. Of course, everybody's got the dream that they're going to be the first one to meet the extraterrestrial that says, hey, we come in peace, here's some great technology, and all we want is your poop because it's valuable to us. But scientists really are the extraterrestrial life that they're expecting to see. They're looking for pockets of water so that they can see life as possible as we know it, and they expect that the first life that they're going to come across is going to be more of a microscopic level, very tiny organisms that are surviving, not necessarily space traveling, brilliant.
No one wants Mars attacks to happen.
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah, I think even Danny Elfman wishes it didn't.
Hey, dude, it's still a funny film the first time you watch it. Maybe not the second time, but the first time.
No, yeah, it's worth one watch.
I don't know. You could probably wait about 7 years and then come back to it.
I fully do believe. I believe that Earth has been visited by aliens. Though I really, really do. Like, I think that there have been aliens. I've seen UFOs and shit that I can't explain.
I will say that I have had a unidentified flying object experience that was actively real.
Ooh, dish.
Yeah. I was driving a cab at the time, and I was going out towards the country to pick up somebody. And it was out by our airport. And the best way to describe it was there was something black in the sky, and then it poofed into smoke.
Like a big plume, or just like a...
It looked solid. It was one of those things, like, when I finally noticed, that's when it started evaporating, or,
Was it slow, or was it...
It was very...
Makes it sound super
was very
fast,
fast, but like like smoke. Like something happened, and then there was smoke lingering. I have read up on there are actual UFO sightings that are like that a lot. But I saw that as clear as day. It wasn't like imagination. I was sober as, a pastor's kid on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, so...
Well, you'd think near an airport there might be more people who saw it.
Well, it's the airport in my...
It's a rural airport. It's not a...
maybe they weren't there. But I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, I actually saw it in my windshield. Not in my windshield, but like looking through my windshield being like, what did I just see? So it wasn't like, I've never seen the light that you see in a lot of people, or he zooms around a bunch, but I actually have seen something in person, an anomaly in the sky.
One of those other things like the Phoenix Lights.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, man. A huge formation of lights over Phoenix, Arizona, and it lasted like a good half hour at least. And there are tons of eyewitnesses, tons of video footage about this. It was a big thing, and nobody could explain it.
Have you been hearing that happening all around the world, these giant horn blasts?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like... Mm-hmm. See, okay, with aliens and stuff like this, the most unnerving thing and the most scariest thing that would make me literally pee my pants is if we were sitting here like we're sitting in this house right here, and all the lights cut out. All of a sudden, every room is lit up in like this, LED light, but really bright light. And then you hear like a wong right after that. I would literally crap myself.
You just immediately...
Yeah. Release my bowels so that I can run faster. I mean, it's a flight or flight simulation, man.
Would you run faster with some pants full of shit?
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, but I'm talking about the actual reaction my body would have. I feel like that right there would be the scariest thing.
I feel like if it was like one of those, like I've seen a lot of those videos like in Russia and stuff where the sky turns red and then it's... People are like, what the hell? I feel like that would be so loud, and like you wouldn't be able. You would feel like the acoustic vibration of that, like whoa.
Depending on how it's coming or what's directing it, you know what I mean. That's what the aspect is. A human or a physical thing doing it. You know what I mean? That noise could, if it doesn't make shattering sounds or things shake like that, it could be a different way that sound was made.
With the science of sound as it is, if it was one source loud enough for everyone to hear, yes, you're going to feel it. But if it was like 1,000 points of projection and it was all,
I don't really
lower
know if
amplitude.
they actively felt it. They didn't say, "Oh my gosh."
I don't know either.
Shaking,
That's my conjecture.
What other theories put forth to explain the sound?
That's another question I refuse to answer.
That is something that I would try to look into, and they believe it is some sort of odd shift between the...
Tell me it's a tectonic fart.
Now, I'm not saying tectonic fart, because that would be an earthquake kind of thing. Yeah. But it's like an auditory aurora borealis. Like the difference between the magnetism of the Earth and then the atmosphere.
But you would think that throughout history there'd be more written things about those type of phenomenon. A lot of crazy stuff has been written down and recorded.
Maybe there are. I mean, the great sound from above. And if it just happened for one day, like half an hour, and then nobody saw anything, I'd be like, eh.
No matter what it is anymore, everything gets reported because we have the internet. We've got Twitter and TikTok and all these instant things.
TikTok, that's my news source.
But it's like, every minute detail in the world can be broadcast now and be shared. You'll
Day
hear
one on Rating the Fringe. I sound like this.
No matter
J2.
No matter what the news is. If you go back in time, you will see it being reported less and less frequently because there was less and less frequent ways to report it, to make it available for other people to hear.
Yeah, but it's a natural phenomenon like that, even within our recorded history, like let's say recorded, like I'm not talking about like,
right.
But I'm saying like within the last 50 years, if it is a natural phenomenon that is kind of like the aurora borealis, but audible, then why wouldn't there have been more of it?
Even 50 years. You have 50 years ago, you have radio. You have TVs even new. So a lot of people didn't even have a TV yet to watch it.
They would still have a newspaper.
There was no internet. It wouldn't be written in the newspaper because that editor hadn't heard it yet. Because news didn't always travel that fast.
Those news people got on to a lot of stuff, though.
All right, Poto, you have something to say?
I would just like to add to this discussion of communication. As farther back in time we go, society-wise, as humans go, we were shut down. We didn't actually talk about the important things or the things that scared us.
Yes.
They kept it in-house or in town and didn't really tell anybody else. So you could have 3 different towns hearing the same thing, but they don't know what it is.
That's Shelbyville business. Don't tell them.
Yeah. No. Actually, that's the point that I was going to bring up is the fact of it doesn't happen in our region, just like the Northern Lights don't happen in our region. You won't find
they can happen in our region though,
but they normally don't. So you don't see a bunch of people.
I've seen the aurora borealis in Gaston,
but what I'm saying is historically, you don't see a lot of people from this area. They'll paint a thing of a beautiful farm with corn growing and stuff like that. They're not going to paint aurora borealis, where in Alaska, that's what they're doing half the time because they get to see it every night. Same with the other stuff. This is located in Russia, is where these sounds are. Yeah. That sound doesn't happen here, so we're not talking about the sound because it doesn't really happen here. It happens there more often.
It doesn't just happen only in Russia. It actually has happened in America.
No, but what I'm saying is it could be a regional thing.
All right. It's like when your family has that black sheep that no one talks about because he's got some sort of fetish and no one mentions it, so it doesn't exist. And your next door neighbor has a relative with that exact same fetish and they won't talk about it because it's what you don't talk about. You keep it to yourself. It is odd, and when you report something odd, you're a witch. Don't say it out loud. Then one day they talk to each other and they say, "Oh, I know what you're talking about," and then it becomes a thing, and it's less taboo to talk about.
But you're making it sound like the people in the past were like all from all the characteristics of how like people from the Appalachians were. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, but they weren't.
It's the
you got to understand that the psychic movement or the spiritualism movement has repeated itself over and over and over again. Yeah, okay, and maybe like in 1600 or whenever the friggin' witch trials, the Inquisition and stuff like that happened. Yeah, the people were hush hush, But like the spiritualism movement in America, or even in this, like within the last 200 years, has been around multiple times. So a lot of this, like, you know, hush hush, we don't talk about stuff, it's not as crazy as like,
well, right,
what you're saying.
But actually, you take your cycle and you overlap it with the lack of transportation and the lack of communication, which has faded away. Basically, everybody can be anywhere now, but you overlap that with your cyclical spiritual idolization. Then it still follows that.
Well, but let's also say something else.
Should,
maybe people have talked about this before. Maybe, you know, back then wooded areas and stuff like that were a lot more prevalent. So in their village, they come to the edge of the woods, and they hear a coming from the woods. Oh, that's the beast of the woods. You know what I mean? And
no, definitely. But maybe we should get more back on aliens. Instead of time periods.
The topic ties in because this is the communication of alien abductions, of alien sightings. It follows the same pattern. The point is that 50 years ago, you only heard about it in a couple of news reports where they were laughing at the guy down the street saying, "Oh, Brad got probed." 200 years ago, all you have is that odd report that one scholar said this, or one composer said that, or one artist said this, and it was much more scattered. In retrospect, it looks like it happened a little bit more than it even did because we've got all of history at our fingertips now. And as you come closer, now, I'm sure every 15 seconds someone on Facebook says, "I just saw a light in the sky, woo!"
One of the first recorded abduction stories happened, I think, about like 50, 60 years ago in America. That was heavily recorded. It was about, I forget the actual names of the people. But
talking about that married couple?
They had some crazy, crazy times. But then you can go into stories that the people, like that one guy that gets called on the phone by an alien and being called the Star Child. And like, it's really freaking creepy. Like, these things call him and are like, "We are your children."
You know, that makes it so difficult too, is even if it was true and even if all these abductions are happening, you have to sort them out from the nutters.
Yeah. Because there are some crazy people.
There are crazy people. There are media whores who will only say that they did so that they can get their 10 minutes on TV.
That is also the skepticism of how we as a human race have become because of the technology. Because we can, you know, we see things on movies. We can make those, like what you showed me on, not a sponsor, Humble Bundle. You could get stuff to actually, you know, really cheap to make movie quality stuff. You know what I mean? So everybody's worried about when they see something on, you know, Facebook or YouTube, like again, with that guy you showed me who has been tracking a family of Bigfoot for like years, has actual footage of these things, and they look legit. They look like he's taking pictures of big feet out in the world, and then like he takes professors in, and you know what I mean? But, you know, again, we can't, you know, we scrutinize everything that even if we saw something real, would we actively believe it?
No, I like you're saying, I think we are hidden behind this massive shroud of skepticism because there is a point of too much information.
Now, is that a way to weed out the people that actually have these experiences? That people will think they're crazy, or they just photoshopped it in? Or do you think, you know, I think that might be a little bit of a conspiracy. Like, they made so many crazy things available to us that now...
Oh, they've oversaturated it on purpose.
So that when real things start happening...
Yeah, big propaganda. They're always looking out to harm the little man.
No, but, like, again, like, what I believe is this whole alien phenomenon thing that people are getting into and stuff like that. In my belief system, I believe when the rapture does happen... and there's a bunch of people that are taken up into the sky, that it's going to be just put off as a alien abduction experience.
Oh, what was that book Dean Koontz wrote?
Oh, the one, it was after the rapture or something like that?
Yeah, it was Left Behind or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and no spoilers in the book or whatever, but one of the main points of it is that, you know, science, magic, and religion can often be confused for each other. Back in the day, science was called magic or God's work because they didn't understand science. And now we've gotten so technologically advanced that if we did see an act of God or magic or aliens like that, would we explain it off as science? that book did a really good job of illustrating that very thing.
That's a very good question, though, and I
that's
think
why
people would explain it
when I
away
was writing
somehow.
a book, air quotes, writing a book. The book was about how I believe that all instances of aliens are nothing more than just demons to create a lie that decredits Christ more. When they sit there and, like, instead of the rapture happening and everybody like, oh my God, the Bible was truth, they're going to be like, welcome home, welcome back home, people. You met the alien overlords or whatever, or something in that aspect. So
if the rapture were to happen, do you believe it would be the Anunnaki?
no.
No, I think he's saying just the opposite.
Yeah,
If we
I
were
would
to-
believe it's not the aliens.
If we
but
were,
okay.
if we were to see Anunnaki come and reclaim their gold and take some of our people that we weren't expecting them to take because we
Right.
thought they were only after gold, that was actually going to be the rapture, and we would be calling it an alien abduction.
Right.
Or you could just leave the Anunnaki out of it and it's actually Jesus Christ coming back for his chosen people. But yes, that's how they would explain it. The Anunnaki came, or the Greys came, or those people when Hale-Bopp went through that were like, take us on top of like buildings and stuff.
Suicide.
Yeah. So again, that's the whole alien process for me. Now, do I have a lot of knowledge in the different types of aliens and the different types of like, humanoids that are out there and what people say about them? Of course, I could always carry on a conversation, but the actual belief in them, I don't have. They are things masquerading around as something else.
All right. And any final thoughts from you, Ostinius?
No. I'll just recap saying that I actually do believe in the ridiculousness of aliens. I do believe in interdimensional beings as well. I don't think that they're separated. I mean, they're separated as much as we're separated from them, but I believe that it is all a thing that is real that could be a part of science. I do believe that there is an oversaturation of information nowadays, and that things would be mistaken or easily explained off as something else, a misnomer,
And Poda, any final thoughts from yourself?
Alien theories are pretty cool.
Well said.
Shame of
Yes. What about you, Lee? What do you take after all this?
Yeah, what's your final?
Well, to be honest, theories are still just theories. I'm not discounting the absolute minute possibility. I am very skeptical. Like I said, I don't think that without breaking what we know of the laws of physics, that I don't think interplanetary travel is possible unless we're talking about something within our own solar system. So basically, no, I don't believe that we've seen aliens. And yes, I do believe that when we do, you're not going to know whether it's real or not because we're oversaturated with the ability to fake anything. And there are a lot of crazy people who have already said, probably letter for letter, what actually happens in the future happens just because of sheer probability.
Oh, everything's going to happen eventually?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's extraterrestrial life out there somewhere. But no, I don't believe that there is, can, or will be any travel.
So you
thereof.
believe that we could actually travel within our own solar system?
Yes.
That's cool.
Within our own solar system, I think it'd be possible, but we haven't found any life this close yet.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't believe that we've found alien life yet. They haven't found us yet. Whether they're out there or not, sure.
All right.
And that concludes our today's episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening in while we raid the fringe.
Please leave comments on your thoughts or ideas of the next discussion.
Yeah. Definitely try to give us different ideas on what you guys would want to hear. Thank you.